Okay, so when I say space race, what pops into your head? You're probably picturing astronauts, maybe some national flags planted on the moon, right? Well, today, the real race is for something else entirely. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. So what's changed? Let's dig in and find out.
You know, the original space race, it was really this story of pure human ambition. It was a testament to what we could all achieve when we dared to dream big. The Apollo program, it wasn't just about getting to the moon, it was about inspiring a whole generation to look up at the stars.
But that classic spirit of exploration, well, it now has a very powerful new partner: money. The new space race isn't just about planting flags anymore. It's about building empires. So, just how big are we talking here? Get this. In 2023, the global space economy was worth a staggering $546 billion. I mean, to put that in perspective for you, that's more than the GDP of many countries. And it is growing fast, almost all thanks to this absolute explosion of private companies jumping into the game.
So, with all these private companies, like SpaceX and Blue Origin, really taking center stage, it kind of begs the question, right? What's the role for the original pioneers, agencies like NASA? Are they still leading the charge, or have they been left in the dust? To really understand NASA's new role, we've got to look at the two sides of the space economy coin. It's a really important distinction, and it basically explains everything that's happening right now.
All right, first up, you've got what's called the upstream sector. Think of this as like the Wild West of space exploration. These are the pioneers forging the tools, building the railroads, and drawing the maps for this whole new frontier. This upstream sector is the absolute backbone of the entire space economy. We're talking about the rockets themselves, the satellites, the ground stations that talk to them, all the heavy-duty infrastructure that makes everything else in space even possible.
And then on the other side of that coin, you've got the downstream sector. So if upstream is all about building the tools for the gold rush, downstream is about selling the gold itself. It's about turning all that space technology into products and services that we use every single day.
You might not even realize it, but you're interacting with the downstream space economy all the time. The GPS that gets you where you're going, the satellite TV you watch, hey, even the weather forecast you checked this morning, it is all powered by assets that are floating around in space.
So, to put it really simply, upstream builds the infrastructure in space, while downstream uses that infrastructure to serve us here on Earth, building versus using. Now that we have that down, let's see how this helps us solve the mystery of what NASA's been up to.
So how in the world do we uncover what an agency is truly focused on? Well, we follow the breadcrumbs they leave behind, not in the stars, but down here in the patent office.
You see, patents are like a direct window into an organization's brain, into their strategic priorities. By analyzing what technologies they're investing in and protecting, we can get a super clear picture of whether they're focusing more on that upstream exploration or those downstream applications.
And when we dig into that patent data from the world's major space agencies, well, we find a really surprising twist in the tale of this new space race.
Okay, so take a look at this. This graph shows NASA's patents over time. For years and years, you can see that orange line, which represents downstream research, just climbing steadily. The focus was clearly shifting towards commercial, Earth-based applications. But then, look what happens right at the end. The trend just completely reverses. The blue line, representing that fundamental upstream technology, it just skyrockets, while the downstream focus absolutely plummets. NASA is making a dramatic, intentional pivot right back to its roots.
And this isn't just a NASA thing. When we look at the European Space Agency's data, the shift is even more dramatic. I mean, look at that massive gap opening up at the very end. That is a crystal clear signal of a major global strategic change.
So what is going on here? Why are the world's biggest space agencies suddenly turning away from the very lucrative downstream market and doubling down on fundamental upstream tech? What's driving this?
Well, the answer lies in this new symbiotic relationship that's forming between the public and private sectors. It's a partnership that is totally redefining the future of space exploration.
The patent data actually shows us the specifics. The big surge in upstream focus is in areas like B64, that's literally the design of spacecraft and flight systems, and HO1, which is the core electronic components that make it all work. And at the same time, they're patenting less in GO1 and GO6, which are all about collecting and using data for services back here on Earth.
And here's the key takeaway. As private companies get better and better at building and scaling those downstream services, national agencies are stepping back. They're going back to their core mission:
pioneering the really high-risk, high-reward research that's going to shape the next 100 years in space.
What this does is it creates a really powerful new dynamic. Public agencies like NASA and the ESA, they invent the next generation of space tech, the really crazy bleeding-edge stuff. And then private companies can take that technology and use it to build profitable businesses, which pushes the entire industry forward at this incredible pace.
So this changes the whole definition of a space race. It's not just a competition between nations anymore. Now, it's this amazing collaboration between public innovation and private enterprise, where each side plays to its strengths to accelerate progress for everybody.
This new model, it's accelerating our journey to the stars faster than ever before. But it also raises a really critical question for all of us. In this new ecosystem where public agencies invent and private companies deploy, who ultimately gets to write the rules for this new frontier? That's a question we're all going to need to answer as we step into this incredibly exciting new era.